All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live broadcast today. And today we are going to be talking. Well, actually, I'll be answering some questions, and maybe Nikki can answer some too, about our meeting last Sunday. No, okay. Our meeting last Sunday and any about the articles in our Constitution from 21 to 40. And we had some questions, and I'd just like to address them today. All right. So, Shane, introduce yourself. Oh, my name's Elizabeth, by the way, and I'll let Shane introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm Shane, and yeah, we had a session on Sunday, our second session on the administration for the Republic of Alberta, and we've been going through articles you mentioned 21 to 40. So we did have some questions, and we also did just have some general, really good discussions that went on. So we have some notes and we have some questions, and we're going to start off. So Article 21 is pretty general. It doesn't really require any kind of explanation. But Article 22, we had a really good chat on. So this was one of the highlights I made was on the detailed information provided on the wealth of the Republic of Alberta to fund healthcare and education. So this comes from Article 22, where it says that the administrators will, on its part, serve the sovereigns of Alberta by protecting the resources of the land, and it talks about the wealth of those resources and what it goes on to pay for. So did you want to elaborate? It's sub-article A, I suppose, from Article 22 there.
Okay. All right. Can you read it off for me just so that I can hear it one more time, please?
Well, Article A is the detailed information provided on the wealth of the Republic of Alberta to fund healthcare and education.
Yes. Okay, I'll explain that. The way that's going to work in all of the whole nation actually, is once we have all of our health centers set up, all right, because we will be revamping the whole health centers throughout the whole nation. Every region will have a health center, every county will have a health center, all right? And we are trying to switch over to therapeutics. We're going to slowly, I know it's going to take time, but there's going to be a transition time where we are going to actually educate all of the sovereigns in the Republic about therapeutics and natural health. And we're going to slowly, I know we'll have to keep the pharmaceutical drugs around because people are used to them, or I should say the sovereigns are used to them. But eventually we want to, transition out of that totally. What's going to happen is our resources, for instance, all of our mining, oil and gas, our lumber, like the wood, forestry, lumber, even our coal, okay, all of our resources that we export out and sell, okay, they're going to be leaving our nation. Whatever we make for that profit will come back into our treasury fund. Our treasury fund at the end of the year, when every region and needs to have their infrastructure, they're going to be bringing their budgets to us, all right? They will be provided for first. What's left over is going to go towards because their infrastructure will include their health centers and their learning centers, the schools and their roads. That's going to be their infrastructure. So whatever is left over from the infrastructure of all our regions and counties will be dividends for us. That's what that means.
I have a bit of a follow-up question to that because you touched on under education, you touched on learning centers there. So it's not really about funding, but it is a related question on that. So what kind of training would be maybe required, provided, or maybe even just wanted for things like your educators?
Oh, okay. For our instructors?
Yeah, right? Because right now we're looking at, a 4-year university degree from a recognized international university so that you can, whatever. So if I wanted to be an educator in a learning center in my district here in my region, what kind of requirements would be required of me maybe, or would there be training or anything like that?
Yes, there will be, because the whole curriculum is going to change. So of course, all your training is going to be different too. But again, That's going to be a transitional time because we still have the old educational system, right? So what we have to do is then, as we change the curriculum, those instructors that learn that new curriculum, those will be the ones to set up the training programs for all of the other instructors. We're going to go with that. If you have your 4-year degree in education, like you did with the de facto government, all right, de facto Alberta, we're going to honor you. And yes, but you're going to have to retrain everything you know. You still have to know the basics. You still will be able to have to teach your basics. So yes, even our universities, as we integrate this whole new curriculum, it's going to change even the secondary and university levels. But that will take time. You see what I'm saying? Because that's all going to change.
Yeah.
You won't have like a 4-year degree you need to do to teach. That's going to change.
Yeah. So the administrators are hired by the sovereigns. I know that. Are the instructors for the learning centers, are they hired by the sovereigns in the same process, or do administrators go about hiring those instructors?
This is how it goes about. The administrators of your county for that learning center interview all the sovereigns coming in to apply for that position. All right, it's all on an interview basis. Bring in their qualifications. What the administrators look at them first. Then they take all of that and they take it down to the sovereign committee. The sovereign committee then just give all of this transparency to the sovereigns in that county, and the sovereigns still vote for this instructor to be hired. Yeah, that's the process. That's actually the same process for every position.
Yeah, it's uniquely across the board.
Yes, every position will be done the same.
But that's how it works when you have a constitution that governs the process rather than people deciding willy-nilly what they're going to do.
Yeah, and it's all, I just want to add this, Shane, it's all 1-year contracts.
Yes.
So if you don't like that instructor, or there is something that is, and just that instructor is not doing the job, and those parents are not happy, they can come to the administrators in their county and say, look, we need this looked into because this is not going good. So then it will be up. Okay, just a sec. I'll be right with you. Then it will be up to the administrators to do the investigation. You understand what I mean? And then if it comes out that there's something that's not going right, that has to be transparent to the parents of the sovereigns of those children, right? It's all going to be transparent. And then the parents, the sovereigns of that county will decide if they want to continue with this instructor and give him another chance or her another chance, or fire and rehire. That's how it goes. Anyways, go ahead, Michael.
Well, I think you kind of answered there, because I was going to say you're saying 1-year terms. Now, there may be some concern with that. Can you explain, like, if it goes into another year, or how you go about that, or is it just every year?
Yeah, okay. So if you are happy with this instructor and everything is going well, kids are loving it, the parents are loving him or her, right? And it's everybody is advancing very, very nicely, you can easily transition into the second year. Boom. You don't have to go through the whole process, the transparent. No, because we already went through it, and the sovereigns, all they have to do is come to the sovereign committee that 1 year, and say, just continue. That's all we want. That's all we want.
The rehire process is a rollover from the previous, and as long as that process, as long as the sovereigns are happy with that, that can roll over. Okay.
Yeah, it will, as long as the sovereigns of the county and those regions, wherever this is happening in these learning centers, are happy with that instructor and are very happy with the work that he or she is doing. Why replace? Right?
Yeah.
So they can go to the administrators of their county and just say, just continue. We're happy.
Certainly. Excellent.
You know what I like about it?
What's that?
Is everything comes down to the sovereigns.
Yes.
The sovereigns have a final say.
I like that too.
Always. Well, as we're transitioning away from education, we're going to be moving into I believe, energy. But I just wanted to bring up something that was highlighted. It's not a topic for discussion. Just a couple of our members highlighted their appreciation for this wording as we get out of this education. So the Republic of Alberta's responsibility is to teach the true history of our nation and the true history of the world to our children and all educational systems in a comprehensive, balanced, and transparent way. The Republic of Alberta's history, as well as Native history, is taught in all curriculum. A nation that does not have a full grasp of all its rich heritage and past shows negligence from current provincial systems. That was something that was highlighted by many of our participants in the meeting. They really appreciated that wording. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that as we got away from education.
And what we should say also is the education system. I don't like calling education. I like to call it instructional. Okay, it is. Yeah. It's a learning. You are learning, and what, as me as a teacher of today, I would be an instructor of that learning center. And what I liked about this whole curriculum coming that I have in mind, and what it would be very good for, I think, the Republic of Alberta, is that it is child-based. And every parent should know that that is perfect, because that child will learn at their speed and at their level. If they excel, let's say in sciences, they love sciences and doing science, we'll give that child so much projects to do that they don't know what to do anymore. Okay? They will be enjoying what they have there. If that child is working, let's say we have the classes will be about 74 minutes per class. Okay? So what's going to happen is, because you're in there learning this and you're doing all this stuff, if they get tired and they want to rest, they can stop whatever they're doing and go lay in a hammock. That's okay. We're going to have them in the center for these kids to do this, because not everybody learns at the same thing, learns at the same time, and we're not going to drill it in like they're in a jail. No.
I was just going to bring that point up. They're meant to be there to learn. They're not in a prison system.
Exactly. And it's going to be group education too. So there'll be activities with groups. And there will also be what we call subject, or we call it topic education. For instance, we take topics on, I'll use language, okay? We're looking at the continent of Europe, okay? All the European continent. And in all the countries here, there's all these different languages, right? So as a group, we build this map on the floor with all the kids. We build it together, right? And we put all the different languages on little sticks all around. I've done this, that's why I'm saying this, all around to all of the countries, okay? And they all have their special languages. The responsibility of each child who will be now responsible for a country, okay? In that country, they've got to find everything out about that whole country, all right? And what language it is, and then try to say hi, say hello, thank you, you're welcome in that language. And I did this, and it actually was quite fun. And they learn this way, and then they learn actually continent, they learn about it, they learn the truth. And the thing is, we have not all been told the truth. There's lots of lies. Example, Canada is not a country, and Canada doesn't have a constitution, and Canada has not been confederated, and all of this. So those are all lies. So all our textbooks will have to be redone, all of them, because they're not truth. And even some of the sciences that we learned is not true. So all these things have to change. And when it talks about our true history, about our nation, about our Indians, all of that has been a lie. So now we have to reteach the truth. And then we've got to find all that and redo all of our textbooks, because we've all been lied to. You know, we've been told that, yeah, we have all these rights. No, we don't. We don't even have rights. We have nothing. So there we are. We are sitting in a classroom, and you think you have all these rights, and you have absolutely nothing. Nothing at all, because without a constitution, you can't have rights. There's nothing to back your rights.
But we have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
No, we
Well,
don't.
as we're moving into this and we're writing our history in a proper way, there is somebody in the room right now with us, Elizabeth, who could certainly add to the historical aspect for certain.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
We do have now the national power grid. This was another topic of interest with a couple of questions, I think, more just clarification things. It was more about, there was actually some great discussion on this one. So we're going to establish a national power grid connecting all regions of Alberta.
Yes.
So we're going to make sure that the Republic becomes self-sufficient and a prosperous nation.
Yes.
That's achieved with proper control of your renewable energies, right?
Yes, yes. Oh, yes. And that would be up to our nation administrators and our resource manager administrators. Okay.
Yes.
In our resource management, there is going to be a administrator from every region, because you have to have from every region, because they need to have their input, because some of that energy is going to come in from them too, right? So we have to have all that input. Now, we have lots of coal. So why don't we have, clean coal energy?
Yeah. And there's a way to transport that too, because there's some railway lines in the Republic of Alberta that could be utilized for stuff like that, isn't there?
Yes, we're getting to that. That's another part of our industry that we're going to be rebuilding. The railway is going to go from north to south to east to west, going through every little town. Okay, we're going to make it so that it's going through major centers and the smaller centers, because these communities need to get supplies to them. And yes, transporting of energy too. That we need that all over. So of course, all of our rail lines are going to be totally revamped again. Not again, I will revamp it. Not again, but yes. And we're going to have to, because it's going in and out of our nation to other nations. So there is going to have to be border control on all of our railways.
Very related to this, the resource management and operations branch. I think you touched on that in your answer there. But it said there, this was more, again, of a discussion, but all branches are subject to an oversight committee designated by a 3/4 majority vote of the administrating body. So is that what you're talking about? The body that's going to kind of administer and keep track of those?
Yeah, they oversee everything. Okay, because you got to make all these people accountable, right? You got to watch what they're doing, right? Otherwise, we'll end up in the same mess we are in today, right? So if we have a committee that's all they do is make all of these administrators in our nation running our resources, every one of them has to be accountable and everything's transparent. So they cannot make a decision on a deal of anything going out of our borders or even within our borders, any deal without it going to the sovereigns for us to say it's okay to make that deal. No, we're getting out of that. It has to go back to the sovereigns. And again, the process is this. The resource management takes it to the nation administrators. The nation administrators take it to the region. The region takes it to each of the counties. In all those places, they all go to the sovereign committee and displayed to the sovereigns, and they vote on it. That's how it works. And that's the only way we can keep everybody accountable.
Imagine that. We're going to scroll down. We're referencing Article 28. We're moving into animals, farming, hunting. We had a great discussion on this. We've got a couple of kind of follow-up questions to each other here. They might get answered all in one, or I might have to poke and prod you, pardon my metaphor here. So humane rights and protection of animals. Just to start this off, something that was very much appreciated by the entire room was the final sentence in Article 28 stating that trophy hunting is illegal. So unjustified hunting of wild animals by a sovereign is a subject to natural sovereign laws of the land. So trophy hunting would be illegal, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that brought us into we got a question about factory farming. Now, it started with the angle of a corporate factory farm, which we kind of had tackled in our previous session anyways with corporations, but you can still have a family or a business run without it being incorporated and still have a type of a factory farm. So with natural law in mind, with the basis of that being to cause no harm, there was some questions about, is there any regulations on factory farming in terms of guaranteeing the quality of life for the animals while they're alive on the farm before they're used for whatever other purpose?
Okay, so what does it say in our wildlife? Look at the article where it says on our wildlife. What does it say about them? It says they should be looked after, cared for, and have a good life, right?
Yeah.
That is up to our forest rangers now.
So just to give you the exact wording on what you're saying there, I had scrolled down a little bit.
Okay, that's right.
The Republic of Alberta wants all animals to have a decent and dignified life free from undue cruelty.
Yes, exactly.
So if I have a farm for beef farming,
yes,
or actually we'll go with dairy because that's the actual, I think, the example that was brought up. So does having the cows in a stall their entire life, not moving, and kind of just fed in that same stall and not being able to be out on a pasture and being milked all day, does that qualify as not undue cruelty? Or like, because different animals are going to require, there's a nuance here. It's not just animals need this and that and they don't need that, or certain animals require different types of care. Certain animals can be left to their own devices for much time. So it was a good discussion we had on it, and I just wanted to know, is there anything kind of set in stone with that, or are we kind of just really looking at it from a natural law perspective and that's it?
Well, if we're looking at it from natural sovereign law, then any animal put in a stall for 24/7 is inhumane. Okay, that violates natural law because that living system is suffering. That is not a normal living system. Okay, so when you put a calf so that you can have white veal, and that calf can't move, and they feed it milk the whole time, right? They're feeding it milk and they keep it in a little cage and it doesn't move, and they want this white veal, right? That's how they get it. That's inhumane. That is not a normal life for an animal.
Yes.
Okay, that is any animal. Like, for instance, you go to these, when you watch on TV and they have all these wild tigers all tied up and in cages. That is inhumane.
Yes.
That is not a normal life for an animal. So if you have, let's say, a elk farm, okay, or a deer farm, and you are raising deer for their meat, and yes, and that's what you do, right? Those animals are running free. They're not locked up. Same as the buffalo. They're running free. They're not locked up, and they're very well looked after because that's your income source, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna want people to, as best they can, reproduce the natural environment that animal is meant to live in while they're under the care of you.
Yes. And our forest rangers, they will be the ones monitoring this and looking in on all what is happening. And that is also in the wild and private. Okay, that will be part of their job description. Okay. So, and I'm working on that right now, trying to work that out too. So, but that's going to be part of it. And another one is chickens. Forcing a chicken to lay eggs 24/7 is not going to work.
No.
You understand what I mean? It's not going to work because that is not a natural thing. Chickens are used to ranging. You can have them in a coop, yeah, and you can feed them, no problem at all. But to keep them locked up, not right. It's not right.
Yeah.
And natural law says that. You have to respect the living system.
Well, that's actually a great way to answer that, because you can revert back to natural law for everything. It's an all-encompassing system that governs the ecosystem of living, right? So we're going to move away from animals. We're getting out of the farm,
Okay.
and we're coming back to money a little bit here.
Okay.
Just as we're scrolling past here, something that's a fan favorite we know from the parts, we also know from the articles, was that there is no income tax.
Yes.
So that is obviously the income tax is monies collected on your labor, which is unlawful in the Republic of Alberta.
Yes.
And it goes on to elaborate, because there was a bit of a discussion on if we're not collecting taxes, how are we paying for things, that kind of thing, right? So service fees were brought up. You touched on that. But if you just want to elaborate on things like for infrastructure and things, because yes, there is a budget. I know you talked on application to the Treasury for budget on certain infrastructure things, but other services are going to need to be provided for. And if they're not coming from, my hard-earned labor income taxes, then how are they being paid for?
What are we paying for? Are you talking about roads? Are you talking about
this could be
water lines? Are you talking about is that what you're talking about? Infrastructure
we could do learning centers as a specific example, right? So I've got a learning center in the region of Red Deer where I live.
All right.
So how is that going to be funded? How are those instructors going to be reimbursed for their efforts? How is the building going to be paid? That kind of thing that way.
Okay, I said that through our resources and the infrastructure of all of the regions and counties, when they do their budget every year, all of that's included in their infrastructure budget. And when they present that to the national and the nation administrators, and then the nation administrators take this to our Treasury Fund and our monetary committees. They then go through all this and request it, send it to the sovereigns. The sovereigns say, yeah, I agree with that amount. We'll vote it in. That's how it comes into the infrastructure. And that is how your learning centers, your health centers, your roads, your pipe water lines, your everything comes from that infrastructure. Now, if in a county that after you've done your budget, all right, and you have no more money for what you want to do, like for instance, you want to put in, I'm just trying to think of something that you would like, say if you needed some more extra water lines or something you didn't account for, and then all of a sudden you had water line bursts all over the place, you need to replace them. You can go to the sovereigns in that community and you can present to them, well, this is what it's going to cost us. All right. This is what we need as fees over the next little while to pay for this. Say for over the next year, we need to have this, or the 9 months to finish this, right? This is what we need per household in this community. They present it to the sovereigns. We see the transparency. We see everything that they have, the contract they have to do all this, what it's going to cost. Everything is there. And the sovereigns say, okay, we agree. But we only agree for a limited time.
Yeah.
So that fee will then only be on them for the next 9 months.
That's an important nuance to make there, Elizabeth, because this is not about not paying taxes. This is about not having your labor taxed, your income tax.
Yeah.
But it's not about an unwillingness to pay taxes. It's about having the services that you want to pay for, having the transparency there to see why you're paying it, how long you're paying it for, what's it providing for you, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that is an important point to make, and that's a great transition segue into our profit section here from Article 36. a question was asked of you about the share which is to be determined of the Republic of Alberta's profits over the fiscal year are shared between all sovereigns of the Republic of Alberta.
Yes, the dividends. Oh, isn't that going to be a happy day for every sovereign in Alberta? Okay.
It's about time the people of Alberta started getting money for their resources.
Exactly. So this is exactly what I was talking about when I was saying all of the treasury fund, all the profits that they get from what we sell of our resources outside of our nation, even within our nation, if we make contracts, all that profit goes to our treasury fund. All right. The treasury fund then sits on this. All right. After all of our infrastructure budgets come in for that year, and everybody's honored, because we have to look after the nation first, okay? Whatever's left over, which there will probably be lots, I'm sure, every sovereign gets a dividend automatically deposited into their monetary distribution center account every year.
And that's no small amount. Just to put that into perspective, there's what, 4.5 million Albertans, right?
Yes.
So if there's a $10 million left over, then that's right off the bat, that's $3 to every single person, and that's just a small non-figure of 10 million that I just came up with off the top of my head. But just to give people an idea, like that figure can be spread out. Alberta's not a large population. It's got a great landmass, lots of resources, but there's not that many people to share it with. There's a giant wealth in this. I want to call it nation, even though we're still a province technically. Michael, did you have a question there? You were waving.
Not a question. Isn't it nice that the sovereigns will get a dividend once everything starts rolling and the money isn't shoveled to everywhere else, but stays with the sovereigns? That's fantastic.
Yeah. The wealth of Alberta going back to the people of Alberta rather than to the politicians in Ottawa is just imagine that. That's all I can.
And that amount will probably vary from year to year. Okay. That we didn't put a set amount because we don't know. And we have to look after the nation first. But after all the nations have everything looked after, there's going to be lots left over. Lots.
Yeah. Well, I heard you talk about de facto Canada, and I won't be on this long. And people, every year state, and they can go back to 600 billion if they want over the time with these equalization payments. So let's just take 20 billion a year, what that would do inside the borders of Alberta.
Yeah.
Right? That's just an example, and that's just the number we got. It could be far outreach that number that leaves there. And we know the billions that are leaving, the landmass known as Canada now. It's time for we the people to make that change.
Yeah, I agree, Nikki, very much so. So when you think about that, 20 million, all right? You're not going to need 20 million, I don't think, for your infrastructures. Maybe in the beginning you will, but I think maybe over the next, 2 or 3 years, and you won't need that anymore.
But that's even a small number, Elizabeth, when you think of the 20 billion.
Yeah, I know. Oh, God, yeah, that's when you think about that, that's right. Oh, that's funny.
So
okay.
we've got 2 small things to finish us off from our discussion here. Article 38 is voting, and a couple of our sovereigns liked to highlight the no electronic or mail-in voting. I just want to clarify, Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that I don't get to submit my my vote through a Dominion machine to have it sent?
No. No, there won't be any electronic voting because electronic is digital, and anything digital is going to be corrupted. We are trying to stay out of the de facto's limelight, and anything that's digital is in their limelight, and they can get in and they can corrupt and they can move and they can do all that stuff. So yes, there will be no digital at all.
And when we're looking for the results of these things, are we going to have to Google the results of these voting referendums and scroll through pages and have the fake news lied to us about it?
No. No.
So how are we going to find out about these results?
Okay, this is how it happens. All right. So when the sovereigns vote at the sovereign committee little building that will be set up in every county and every region, all right, and they will then vote. The sovereign committee are the only ones there, and they receive paper ballots. And it will be counted by hand, sorry to say, by hand. And they will be doing this, and then the results of the county go to the region. Once the region has all of theirs totaled, they send it to the nation. And that's how it's done. And then it's displayed out on the TV everywhere. Everybody gets to see.
Do you mean fake news or do you mean real news?
No, this is going to be real media because we'll have control of all that and take that all back. And it's all full transparency. Everybody will know exactly what the votes were.
You know what the best part about this? Like it's all fantastic. But
Yes.
it's the point of having administrators,
Yes.
not career politicians.
Yes.
That's the fantastic part about this.
And those sovereign committee that handle the voting, if anything goes wrong, they are held accountable. If they mess up, they are held accountable and they will stand before their local sovereigns and a grand jury and be held accountable for it. So there will
Why
be
would you do that? But why would you do that? Because now you can just resign and have a big full paycheck. You know, run out.
No matter if you resign or not, you still will be held accountable.
Well, that's the excellent segue to our final matter here, which is something I'm going to be including at the end of all of these sessions, I hope. Article 40 starts off by saying the sovereigns of the Republic of Alberta always have the final decisions on all matters. Under the Republic of Alberta Constitution, the administration will ensure, by natural law, the powers must reside at the local level, then upwards for checks and balances to stop all corruption. With that in mind, we have the affirmation of office, which would be the same type of oath I read last time. And this is a beautiful oath. This would be for the administration. This is under this is actually under Article 39 for anybody following.
Just a second, I'm getting a lot of feedback.
If try muting, Nikki, and maybe yourself. I noticed that too, but if you mute while others are talking, I think it helps. But Article 39 for anybody following along there, the administrators, they have an oath of an affirmation, of office there. And I'd just like to read that out. And this is something that will apply to other entities as well, but this was just under Article 39 as we got to a close. I do solemnly promise and declare that I will maintain the Constitution of the Republic of Alberta and uphold its natural sovereign laws and the laws of the land, that I will fulfill my duties faithfully and in accordance with the Republic of Alberta Constitution and natural sovereign law, and that my aspirations and capabilities will also be to the service and welfare of the sovereigns of the Republic of Alberta, as well as to my immediate self and family. And that is quite a contrast to the oath that our current governing members take when they enter their office. That is black and white compared to what they're saying and swearing an oath to. So I just wanted to end on that because that was I love that affirmation. It's beautifully worded, and I'd love to have anybody who has any control over our Constitution know that off by heart.
Yes, I agree. And anyone who is going to be in our nation will be taking that affirmation. Okay, so yes, even when you sign the affirmation right now, we are getting signatures for it. You actually read that. Not many people realize that they read it, but they are actually reading this. And you are, when you check that box, you are agreeing with what is being said. So you've already said it. Anyone who has signed has already done this. So thank you. I thank you all.
Good. Excellent.
All right. Well, that ends our question and answer period for those articles, and we will be on again next week, hopefully at the same time, and we'll be doing articles 41 to 60, right?
Yes. So we will be meeting on Sunday, which is the 10th, and then hopefully we'll be back here on the 13th doing this stream again, same time, same place.